This is the MGTOW Infinium here with another Infinium out and about. This Infinium out and about is entitled The Question. Now my brothers, I'm here again in Oak Grove Lake Park here in Chesapeake, Virginia. And it is a partly cloudy day, but nevertheless it is very nice out here. Kind of a mid-spring day. Just very quiet, peaceful, except for when the normies who are passing by this table every so often come to try to see what I'm doing. But nevertheless, I digress. And my brothers, I'll just swing around and show you where I'm at. I am at the other side of this lake. Normally when I come here, I'm on the other side. But I found a way to get over to this side, which is right next to the Chesapeake Expressway, and that's the noises that you hear in the background, cars and trucks passing by, because this is right next to the Chesapeake Expressway. But nevertheless, I continue with what I'm going to talk to you about, and that is the question. Now, first of all, my brothers, I was listening to Active Odysee MGTOW's content this morning. And my brothers, if you haven't subbed to his channel already, please go ahead and sub to this channel, Active Odysee MGTOW, because he has a lot of great insight about the MGTOW philosophy and the embracement of the philosophy in terms of the things that we should be doing as MGTOW men and the things that we should not be doing as MGTOW men. And that brings me to the question which he had on his bit of content, and the question was, what benefit is it to men to be slaves? And so, of course, my brothers, we are often confronted with the notion that we have to do our duties as slaves, and that if we do our duties, it is like when you are working in a slave camp, and over the slave camp gate is work towards freedom, or work means freedom, when in actuality we know that that slave camp will bring death to our lives. So we are confronted with the notion that it is of great benefit to us to be slaves, that we are rebuilding this society, we are contributing to what is enslaving to us, what is causing us to lose our freedom. We are contributing in a good way in terms of that notion. But my brothers, if you get confronted with these things and you begin to, quote unquote, slide back, or you begin to be convinced because of the pressure that is being put upon you, either through any means like loss of a job or being kicked out of your family, loss of inheritance, all these types of things, these pressures that come upon you, that will come upon you as a MGTOW man, as you embrace the philosophy that frees you. If you begin to consider that notion, I want you to back up and think logically. Take the capability that you have in your mind to critically think and ask yourself that question: what benefit is it to me to be a slave? And who am I benefiting if I am a slave, if it's not benefiting me? Now, of course, that will snap you back into reality, because it will show you that, again, it is no benefit to men to be slaves. All around us, we men, all around us, we are confronted every day with every reason why we should not be slaves. Every reason. There is every reason. And my brothers, to put it to you frankly, there is no benefit to you being a slave. There is no logical argument that could cause you to be convinced to be a slave. It is every logical argument. Every logical argument. From a morality standpoint, from a biblical standpoint, if you will, from just a logical standpoint. When you look at things through the eyes of a free man, through the eyes of a free man who critically thinks, there is no logical argument to you as a man being a slave. Now, of course, we get those pressures that you're crazy, you have to bow down to females, you have to bow down to your mother because she's a female, you have to do what needs to be done because women are always right. But again, my brothers, there is no logical argument to you being a slave. And so, my brothers, again, if you falter, or if you find yourself in a condition where somehow the innocent has gotten loose, has gotten out of that prison cell, and is trying to convince you that you are to be a slave, you need to round him up and throw him back into that cell and do what you must in terms of gorilla taping his mouth, doing whatever you need to do, and ensuring that he is put back on lockdown. Because again, there is no logical argument. The argument that women present that they can do whatever they want to do to us because we are supposed to take it as men is invalid. So therefore, again, like for instance, my brothers, I was looking at Better Bachelor's content this morning, just briefly, and he was talking about women who are now going to grocery stores and Walmart, women who are now standing at the self-checkout lanes and setting up cameras and videoing or photographing men who are in the lane with them. And they are taking these videos and like they did with the gym thing where they infiltrated the gyms, they are shaming the men who are looking at them. So you could be just standing in a self-checkout lane, mind your business as a man. A woman sets up a camera and videos you, and just because you look up to see if she has moved on so you can use the register, she then takes that and puts it on TikTok and shames you because of it and says that you're harassing her, you're doing things to her. And my brothers, just like what was done in the gyms, just like was done in all of our spaces which women have infiltrated and used those areas to shame us, to make us feel ashamed for being men, for just looking up and looking in their direction. This is now being done, which this has been going on, I would say, because of my understanding of it. When I go to grocery shop, every time I go to grocery shop, I get bothered by a woman. For instance, I had popped by a Wegmans in my area just to look at some things, and I was in the section where the meats are at, the steaks and stuff like that, or at the meat counter, and there I was alone just looking at some steaks, looking at the cuts of meat and everything, and within a moment or two, a woman is standing beside me, looking over my shoulder, trying to look past me and everything. And again, I'm just minding my business. So this type of thing in the grocery stores has been going on. So it's not a new thing, but nevertheless, my brothers, what I'm getting at, that is a part of the mentality of being a slave, that we men must put up with these things, that we men must be harassed, even in a grocery store, when we're just minding our business, trying to get whatever we want to get and go on about our business. That's what it's talking about. So the question again, is there a valid reason to men being slaves? And my brothers, again, if you answer that question as to yes, you need to go back and reevaluate your life, because there is no valid reason for you as a man to be a slave. There is no valid reason. There is no valid reason, again, to be harassed. Like, again, here I am. I'm sitting in a pretty much a remote location, and I've had women come by asking me questions about things, and I'm just minding my business. And again, why these things are being done? Because in the minds of women, in the minds of simps, cucks, there is no question in their minds as to what we should be. In their minds, we are to be slaves. And that is something that is firmly cemented in their minds. Again, in the minds of women, in the minds of simps who bow down to them, men are to be slaves. And my brothers, that's why, again, you must daily affirm who you are as a MGTOW man. You must do these things. Because again, these notions, these combative notions, these edicts, dictates will come at you every day. I have said before, this is a war upon who we are as free men. And so that's why, again, that question is invalid, because there is no legitimate reason for you to be a slave. There's no legitimate reason for you to be harassed. Or like in the case of the man who was thrown into jail for $1 million bond just because he looked creepy. That again is the mentality of men being slaves. That anything and everything can be done to you because you are a slave, and that's it. And my brothers, you are not slaves. You are not what the feminist plantation state says about you. You are not what your female friend says about you, what your mother says about you, what the woman in the grocery store says about you. You are none of these things. You are none of these things. You are free men. And you have to daily remind yourself of that fact. You are free men. And they do not have the right, these women, these simps, cucks, or whatever, the feminist plantation state, they do not have the right to say that you cannot be free. They do not have that right. And because of who you are as a free man, they don't have the capability to take that away from you. Only you, as a free man, if you give up your freedom, gives over to women, the feminist plantation state, whoever else, simps, cucks, only you can give that capability away. And so that's why, again, it is important to daily reaffirm who you are as a free man. And my brothers, you have to look at it like this. Part of the warfare that we have to fight as MGTOW men comes in the form of the mental battle that we face. The types of things that are said to us, the types of things that are done to us to make us feel that we are less than men, the shaming, the types of things that women in general tend to get away with, all these types of things, the injustice that we see. It can make us feel like Don Quixote going against the windmill, that I will never win, I will never be totally free. But my brothers, you must fight that battle in your mind nevertheless. Because again, part of the tactic overall is to win the battle in your mind. Once you can be convinced that you are a slave, it is game over for you. And that's why, again, you must daily affirm in your mind that you are a free man. Again, the battle is in particularly in your mind. And that's where it comes from. It comes from the attack upon your sensibilities, your understanding of what is going on. Because again, you have to look at it this way. Your eyes are open to what is being done to you. And part of that battle, again, is seeing the harsh reality of the truth, that there is no benefit to having a woman in your life at this time. And going forward, there is no benefit to having a woman in your life because everything is against you. So therefore, again, the battle is not only in your mind, but it's also in the world about you. Everything that is in this society is set against men. And so that's where the actual tactic of this question is coming from, that you have to be a slave. And the conflict that comes from that is your heart, is your mind that critically thinks and says, no, I have legitimate reason not to be a slave. And so that's why, again, when you're being gaslit and you're in a confrontation with a woman, the best thing to do is to walk away. When she's telling you that you have to be a slave, the best thing to do is to walk away, because if you confront her with the question, why should I be a slave? she will not give you a legitimate answer. She will more likely gaslight you and try to shame you and try to spin it around on you and say that you have to do your duty because you're a man and that you're less than a man if you do not do your duty. So that's where this is coming from, my brothers. It is a war upon our mentalities. It is a war upon our physical nature, everything possible, my brothers, our sensibilities, my brothers, everything. And so that's why, again, the question on face value, should I be a slave, should have no legitimate answer, my brothers. But my brothers as well, on a deep level, on a level that's in your heart, on a level that's in your mind, that's in your soul, it should also have no legitimate answer. Because again, my brothers, there is no legitimate answer to that. There is none. When you look at these things, when you look at all the things that are going on, you look at the things that should be getting better, but they're not. There is no legitimate answer to that. And so, my brothers, again, what you must do in terms of what is being done is to go forward. Go forward, keep on going. Even if it's small steps, my brothers, keep stepping. Keep stepping forward into your freedom. That's the main thing, my brothers. My brothers, there is no way for you to live as a slave and to have a sense that you will be worthy, because at the end of the day, all you will do, my brothers, is to do something like work yourself to death and find yourself in a condition where you have nothing to show for it. My brothers, walking in freedom, and I will add walking in integrity as a MGTOW man, is well worth it, my brothers. It is hard, yes. It can be confrontational, yes. You can have a scenario where everybody's against you, yes. But at the end of the day, my brothers, it is well worth it. It is well worth it. And my brothers, there's nothing worth it, in my opinion, in terms of giving up your freedom and being a slave. There's nothing worth it. And I am, as a MGTOW man, firmly convinced of not only that notion, but the validity of that fact, that there is no benefit to me to being a slave, and it is every benefit to me to be a free man. This is the MGTOW Infinium, and this has been an Infinium out and about. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.